Good afternoon, good day, friends. It's Friday, July 30th, the end of July. This weekend, the readings have been, as I've been reflecting on where to go with these, we get the story of the Israelites grumbling against Moses, saying we are better off, back in slavery. Now here we are in this desert where you've taken us to, and we're starving. And they are given the gift of manna. I love the word manna means literally, what is it? We've been debating what it was forever. Was it some kind of frost? Was it quail, excretions, whatever it was. The Israelites saw it as nothing, of course, nothing less than the gift of God sustaining them. But what is it? What is it? So reflections on the Eucharist, the Gospel, which is chosen, of course, always to complement, or I should say that first reading from the Hebrew Scriptures is always given to us to complement the Gospel. They're always related. We're following up on last week's feeding of the 5,000 in St. John's Gospel, with the crowds following him now because they got their fill. They want more signs. Give us this bread always so that we won't be hungry. And Jesus, of course, says, well, I am that bread. If you believe in me, if you believe that God is among you, you won't be hungry. You won't thirst. Some of the, as I continue to follow this, what we experienced is something of a brouhaha a few weeks ago with the United States bishops and their proposed writing of a document that was seen and understood to be a document that would effectively exclude public officials, and in this case the President of the United States, from communion because of political and strategic and position specifically, as it concerns the bishops, is the Democratic platform on abortion and the right to choose an abortion. What some would say is pro-abortion, and of course it's not. And I probably shouldn't get into any of this because we don't have enough time today, but it's always, of course, isn't it the strategy for how we reduce the number of abortions in this country, not just whether we believe it. in any case, the document, subsequently has been talked about among the bishops and talked about in public, and now, it's much more going to be evidently a catechetical document on the Eucharist, and so not about excluding the president or whoever from communion, or whoever is not in full agreement with all that the church teaches and holds and believes. And so the damage had already been done, of course, because it was clear that for some of the bishops that was the aim, and they've since kind of pulled back on that and trying to speak now with a more unified voice after making public this kind of very dramatic kind of fissure or chasm in where they were at with regard to such a document. But what manna? What is it? Why do we hunger for that bread? What was it about our being unable to celebrate the Eucharist during COVID, for example, and for some it continues to be, impossible for them to be back in a full church. You're reminded once again that I do have a dog. What is it? That's the question of manna. What is it? What is it that draws us? What is it that has us want it, crave it? Why wouldn't someone just say, well, if you don't want me to go, I just won't go. No, I want the Eucharist. I need the Eucharist. Lovely discussion this week too. I had with some folks who are new to Ascension, and talking about just that. That even our explanations, our theology, and some people are very clear about their theology of what the Eucharist is, and the real body of Jesus. Of course, we say and believe that it is, but what does that mean, right? What is it? What is it that draws us? I had the occasion again to, I was eating out and having, it was an Asian restaurant, and I was reminded of my mother. And I told this story before, so forgive me for the repetition, but my mother, who was very, was 100% Polish, and when it came to ethnic food, that's where she would go, of course. We had some Polish treats in our house. But she made this incredible chow mein, of all things. And it wasn't the stuff you get in a restaurant. It was this gorgeous brown stew with crisp celery and vegetables, but loaded with pork and chicken and beef and unable to be replicated after her death. And so I kind of, at times, kind of crave it. And of course, in that craving it, I can say very honestly, what I'm craving is her. And, as delicious to the tongue as that chow mein might have been, what I miss is not the chow mein. God knows there's a lot of other food in my life that, is able to sustain me. But that it was hers, it was unique to her. So it is, I think, too, with the Eucharist. There's something about it that other people are just not able to give us. There's something we find in it that we know is of God. We stumble in trying to explain it, and of course, the Christian church is divided into hundreds of parts because we can't agree on exactly what it is. But we know that it's something, we know that it gives us something, and it gives us a taste of Jesus, whatever that is. But in the explanation, of course, we find ourselves divided. There's a liturgical theologian by the name of Robert Hovde. He is now deceased, but he wrote during the, I think primarily, when I was in the seminary, so that would have been like the 70s, 80s, around there, following. In fact, I think was from Minnesota, and then moved on to the east. But he says this about the liturgy and about the Eucharist. Good liturgical celebration takes us by the hairs of our heads, lifts us momentarily out of the cesspool of injustice we call home, puts us in the promised and challenging reign of God, where we are treated like we have never been treated anywhere else. So you see, when questions of keeping people away from the table, when we make decisions about people not being welcome, when we tell people to stay away, we're treated, indeed, that may be being treated like people aren't treated anywhere else. Maybe people aren't treated as rudely anywhere else. But unfortunately, it's where people, the kind of way that people are treated a lot, where we do feel rejected, and we do experience not having access, and we do experience people telling us or wanting us, at the very least, to go away. The Eucharistic table treats us like we're not treated anywhere else. That is to say, at this table, you are welcomed in a way where you won't find in another place, extravagantly, and without condition, and without barriers, without question. And so you see, this strikes at the heart of who we are as a church, and the heart of our faith. Perhaps for some it's just an intellectual, academic debate. But when we presume and I won't say glibly because it's not done glibly, but perhaps in some cases it is, when we just can glibly or too casually or too thoughtlessly say, oh no, you can't go to communion. We are by those words, and for those of us in some position of authority and responsibility in the name of the church, which stands in the place of Jesus Christ, saying, yeah, I don't want you. Not today. If we're gonna do what Havda suggests the liturgy is intended to do, to treat us like where we are treated like we've never been treated anywhere else, then we have to somehow suspend our human capacity for drawing lines and boundaries, and open ourselves to whatever the boundaries are of God's love. Unimaginable. Unimaginable. So, I guess that's some very random thoughts on manna and the Eucharist. What is it? I guess I would leave you with that question. What is it? What is it about that thing, that bread, that makes all the difference? God bless you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging